Welcome to Inspire Change, a new inspirational and motivational broadcast that strives to empower men in a positive way. The entire series will consist of only 5 minutes. Yes, 5 minutes, as they are designed to educate, empower, and inspire even the busiest individual on the go over that first cup of coffee. Please join me in welcoming Gunter, international psychologist, author, speaker, and producer.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is Gunter. Hoping that you're joining me for another interesting podcast. Well, it's certainly been an interesting week for me. And so this podcast is going to be a little bit different and not necessarily a carry-on from the last session. Mainly because from a personal perspective, this last week sort of confronted me with a couple of issues, both on a personal but also on a professional basis, which I thought I'd share with you. Given that a large part of what we're talking about is men, patriarchy, masculinity, and how it affects our behaviour, both within ourselves but also with other people. So I've been working on 2 conference presentations, one about getting men to recognise that therapy is actually helpful, and the other one is about domestic violence, essentially about why would men beat their partner whom they often say they love. And one of the things that struck me was that I'm doing this in the context of one very important piece of technology basically not working, and that was my NBN, my internet connection. Now, as most of you who are connected to the internet's become one of those fundamental pieces of technology that we rely on a daily basis for all sorts of different things. Now, in my house and in my office, everything hangs off the cloud. So my office is okay, but at home, where I spend a lot of time doing work, the system has basically failed and it's been down for a week. So one of the immediate things that I was confronted with was, firstly, how do I deal in negotiating what I need and want? So that became bigger than Ben-Hur because the service provider is actually not necessarily geared up to really provide a perspective of what I need. They just do what they do within a very limited system, and so we keep getting around and round and round like on a merry-go-round or an infinity loop. And so progressively, as I was getting no results, I found that I was getting more and more angry. And to the point where in one of the last conversations with a certain more senior person in the organisation, I swore. Now, I didn't swear at him, but I swore, something which I very, very, very rarely do. So even my wife was shocked. So when I got off the phone, I started to reflect about what was happening for me. And one of the things I realised was that my capacity to regulate my feelings was starting to get to a point where it was eroding, basically. I was fed up, and someone was going to get a sense of what that meant. And so, again, very angry, feeling very pissed off with things. And I'm trying to work on these 2 presentations, which both really fundamentally about patriarchy. And one of the things that I realized that fed into my anger and my emotional dysregulation was that, in essence, part of the driver was that I had a sense of entitlement. I found myself frequently referring to the people, and this is legitimate, that I'm paying premium prices for a sub-premium service, and that the fault wasn't with me, it was with them, and they needed to accommodate me. Now, to a large percentage, I still believe that. I think that's still really, really, really relevant. But one of the things that I found myself encountering was getting into a situation where I was also not the one who was negotiating. I was trying to dictate terms, and when you're dealing with people who only operate within a very narrow parameter, very narrow framework, that doesn't work. Now, the problem is, still got to wait for an NBN connection, still working on my papers, but today I'm calmer. So what was it? Critical reflection and taking some ownership for my behaviour. Hope that's been helpful. Look forward to you joining me again in another episode.
Thank you, Gunter, and thank you to our listeners in our first super short broadcast series, Inspired Change with Gunter Swoboda. Please join us every Wednesday for a new broadcast by visiting www.spreaker.com/show/inspire-change, which will feature all the ways you can listen. If you have comments or suggestions, email producer@studio3hollywood.net. Thank you and have an inspiring day.